Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Nicole. This week's, I took last week off because, there was a lot going on with the holidays and everything, but I'm back with the usual Make Things Better um, live stream here. And I apparently forgot to put the title slide in, but I made one and it's pretty, so I'll put one in the replay. But so today's topic is New Year's goals for your marketing. And the thing is, I'm going to list some potential goals. And what I want you to do is don't think about doing all of them. Okay. Just think about doing one of them, because what I want to do is not, I feel like it's just really easy to get overwhelmed, this time of year, because there's a lot going on and there's all that New Year energy, and then we can potentially lose momentum. So rather than worry about it, let's just talk about, what some of the options are. So as usual, just to remind you, if you ever have any topics you want me to cover, feel free to email me, let me know what they are, or you can leave a comment below wherever you're seeing this video, and I will see it because I get notifications about that kind of thing. So the first thing that I want to just kind of propose as a potential New Year's goal for you is creating one recurring revenue product, and then obviously doing some kind of campaign about it. So this could be that you offer some kind of membership, a subscription box, something like that. Because the thing is that a lot of people, we're used to paying a lot of companies small amounts regularly to have access to things. And there's no reason as a small business that you can't do the exact same thing. And just to let you know, and I'm just going to put this in the broadcast here, we are doing a little something with the SBDC. So if you are in New York State, I think for the most part, we're doing these working groups. And the idea with these working groups is that basically think about it as it's a class, but it's we're all working on something together. And I'm just almost like a facilitator that's getting you unstuck. And so these whatever working groups last about 3 weeks, and there's a set goal at the end of them. So the two that we're doing for 2021 are setting up an email newsletter. So if you've always wanted to set up an email newsletter, everybody who joins this is going to be setting up an email newsletter. And the other one is creating a recurring revenue product. So this idea of thinking through what that is, how you want to offer it. Now, if your website is limited, let's say that your technology doesn't allow that, what you can do, there's lots of third-party services that allow you to set up something. So for example, Stripe.com, which is a payment processor that's online, lets you take recurring payments. It's called subscriptions. So for example, one of my clients is a numerology person, and she has basically she has a physical calendar, so you can buy her calendar, but also, you can get her digital calendar. And so what that does is for me, that pulls into my Google Calendar. So I can see my little numerology thing right in my Google Calendar. I think it's $4.99 a month. And I love subscribing to a local business thing because I would do it anyway, and I just as soon do it for a client or a friend, to patronize what they're trying to do, especially if it makes my life easier. So in this case, I don't have to carry around a paper calendar. I get to just load up my Google Calendar and it's there. So that could be item one, is that you decide on a recurring revenue product and you implement it. But the key part is you got to tell people about it, because you have customers that really like you a lot and they don't necessarily know that you added a whole new page without you telling them. So add that part to it as well. A second potential goal is to if you don't feel like thinking about a recurring revenue product, if that feels too stressful, at least put something online, some kind of payment form. Now, obviously you can sell a gift certificate easily enough. And if you're in any one of our markets, what we're in the process of doing right now is we're actually revamping our gift certificate website. And our goal is to actually put this into different communities around the United States. So if you wanted to sell gift certificates from your hometown, something like that, it would be easy to do. So if you're in our upstate New York or our main markets, just reach out to me, because we're building those right now. But there's other markets we're talking to. There's a few other places. So if this is of interest to you, let me know, and I can tell you if it's in progress or not. But you can also add it to your own website. So there's these third-party form softwares. There's JotForm and WooForms that allow you to do a standing payment software. So you can sell gift certificates. So for example, we have a new client, they're a Mexican restaurant, and we put up their gift certificate form just a little bit before the holidays, and they sold 9 gift certificates before Christmas. So, so yeah, and I'm sure they'll continue selling some into the new year, but that was a nice boost for them. And it could be a nice boost for you if you have things for sale online. So consider making at least one thing buyable online. Ideally, something that someone anywhere could buy. It doesn't have to be physically in your location. So yeah, online ordering is great if you're a restaurant or something like that, which they also are adding right now. But the gift certificate thing allow anybody to buy the thing and sort of participate, because you can just get mailed a gift certificate no matter where you're at. So yeah, just kind of think through. Like I said, every business has a gift certificate, pretty much, I can think of anyway. And yeah, and offering that to people lets people buy it for like their family members who live locally, or, if they plan on coming to visit, or they know someone who is, they can buy it for them at that point. So yeah, so that's a good option as well. Just sell something online so people can buy it. A potential other thing, if you're more of like rather than thinking of something new, you want to improve something, this is a good goal for you to have, which is if you take a look at the lowest traffic, I should have rephrased this, and I'll rephrase this verbally. Take a look at the lowest traffic area of your website and see how you can improve it. So for example, how do people get to your website currently? And what's really interesting is, so for example, for most clients that I work with, about somewhere between 50 and 90% of their traffic is search engine driven. So the reason the disparity is that if you're a local business, that number tends to be closer to 50. If you're an online only business, that number tends to be closer to 90, obviously, because you don't have that physical component going on. So the search engine becomes a little bit more important, which makes sense when you say it like that, right? So what you want to do is look at your stats. And if you see that your search engine traffic is like 30% and you know it should be closer to 50, well, like, okay, what can you do to improve it? Now you might ask yourself like, well, like, how do I whatever? How do you learn anything, right? Well, first of all, you can talk to someone like me, but if you don't feel like it, you can also just like look to Google and say like, how do I, get more traffic in search engines? And it's going to give you ideas, and there's lots of things that could potentially be improved. So just like I said, and a lot of them are not necessarily super technical in terms of implementation. And I say that as somebody who got dragged into this whole internet thing kicking and screaming about 13 years ago when I like didn't know anything. So a lot of these things are actually things that you can either tackle yourself, or if you got someone to implement them, it wouldn't necessarily take them a lot of time to do so. So what you want to do is obviously you look at it now, and then you look at it, 6 months or so from now, and see if there's a measured improvement. And you should be able to see a difference, especially if you're making an effort. At least I do. So yeah, so just pick a thing. It could be that you're trying to improve your search engine traffic. It could be that, for example, Pinterest is really great at driving traffic, and I am awful about using it for my own business. I go on Pinterest personally all the time and look at stuff, but I'm bad about putting pins for my business onto Pinterest. I'm bad about repinning them to different boards. There's certain things I could be doing to have a more prolific presence on Pinterest. And how I know this is that for our gift certificate website in Bar Harbor, we have a pretty good Bar Harbor blog on there. And so what I started doing was putting our blog posts onto Pinterest. And we went one year from, I think we had 8,000 visits to 15,000 visits. And the only thing I really did differently, besides like obviously continue to promote it like I had been, was I really made Pinterest a priority, like getting links into the site. And it like more than doubled our traffic that year. So if you just see an area which you could improve upon and try to improve it, I think you're going to definitely see a difference in obviously traffic to your website, and ideally purchases or people making inquiries, or however you measure success, right? So I definitely recommend doing that. A fourth goal, and again, just pick one of these, right? Like don't pick all of them. You're going to feel overwhelmed. I'm only giving a variety because different ones might speak to you at different points in your business. So, maybe one year I was really interested in traffic, and now that I have good traffic, now I'm thinking like, okay. So something that I find is that, give yourself a plan for consistency on a marketing task. Okay. And so what that means is, and I see this time of year all the time, where I have people tell me when I meet with them, they say, oh, I didn't do it. I'm such a bad person. And they reprimand themselves for not doing the thing. But what I find is if you change the question to why am I not doing it, it's kind of interesting. And I'll use an example. So like, for example, let's say that you always get on Facebook and you get distracted. You're like, oh, I always mean to log on and update my Facebook page. And then I go on Facebook and I get sucked into the drama. So what I did when I noticed I was doing that is I installed this newsfeed eradicator onto my computer. So when I go on Facebook, I can't see anything in my newsfeed. So I'm not distracted by anything. So I get on, I do my stuff, and I get out, and I don't get distracted by the thing. So rather than making myself feel guilty for getting distracted, I like come up with a plan to not get distracted. There's any number of things. So, something for my personal life was I wanted at the beginning of last year, in which I've since changed, I wanted to drink 2 bottles of water a day. And so rather than beating myself up every time I didn't do it, I said, okay, why am I not drinking it? Oh, okay. Because my water at my office tastes weird. So I got a water filter for the sink. It's one of those Brita things that when I pour it out of the sink, okay, water tastes better now. Still not drinking enough water. Why is that? Something about me that, me personally, I like my water cold, like ice cold. And so what I started doing was pre-filtering the water into bottles and putting them in the fridge to chill. So when I'm ready to drink water, I have a nice ice cold bottle of water ready to go. And guess what? Now I drink 2 bottles of water a day, no problem. So rather than beating yourself up for not getting your email newsletter out, figure out what is it? Is that it? Just for me, my newsletter always goes to the bottom of my list. So I'm going to just start paying somebody on my staff to draft it every month so that it's once I get the draft, they've done most of the work. And then it's a matter of me kind of maybe doing some light edits and sending it. I think that'll overcome my objection. So that's something, for example, I'm doing. So I'm looking at why am I not doing something that I should be doing? And instead of beating myself up for not doing it or saying I'm going to try harder, I'm looking to change some circumstance around it to make it easier to do. Cause that's and the thing is, what I find is that when you do this, sometimes the first reason isn't the actual reason. So my water drinking thing, I thought it was the filtered issue, wasn't that. And I was but rather than getting discouraged and saying, okay, this doesn't work at all, I was like, okay, so it wasn't that. So what else could it be? Oh, it's the cold water thing. Oh, it's the having access to lemon juice to kind of make the water interesting and making sure I have a little thing of, oh, the lemon juice doesn't stay good long enough. Okay, I should just get some of that lemon. You can get lemon that's dehydrated that you can sprinkle into water and it's lovely. So I'm all right, I'll just get one of those for my office. I'll get one of those for home. The problem is solved for $6. Wonderful. But there's stuff like that you can do work-wise too. And sometimes the first thing you try won't work. So think about why you're not doing something and make yourself a plan to make it work for you. Because let's face it, you're not doing it because you're not a disciplined person or you're not a good business owner. There's some other reason that you're not doing it. Probably. That's what I'm guessing. And the final thing is something that, it's funny. I have a new client that I'm starting with in January. And at first we had talked about her goals were to get new leads for her business. But in talking, she realized, you know what, though, if I improve my processes, I'm actually going to be better at sales with people who are already in my pipeline, and I'm going to make it easier on my staff. So what you might want to do is make some kind of system for something that you consistently do. So, and this can be and I'll just show you an example because I've got one here. So for example, I have a client and they occasionally buy new website domains and they have certain things that need doing. So what I did is this is Asana. This is a project management system. So it's free. There's a paid version. If you use the paid version, let me know. And if you if you want to leave a comment as to why you switched to the paid version, I'm just curious. I just haven't run into anything where I need the paid version yet. So I'm not saying that it's not a good thing. So what I can do here is I can, create, get a logo created and, and I might need to break this down a little more, but point being is that I have each task, I can assign it to somebody. I can put due dates on it. And so what I do is every time they buy a new domain, I can just copy this whole thing. I can just, so I can just convert to oh, that's the paid version, converting it to a template, but I can just duplicate this project as you see here. So when they buy a new domain, I duplicate this and then I go through and I'm okay, who's going to do all these things? Does it have to be me or can it be someone else on my team? And this way I can, rather than reinventing the wheel every time, I've created some kind of system. So like if you're sending email newsletters and every time you send an email newsletter, you're like opening up this blank document and you have to feel like you have to come up with something, like that's not going to be a task you're efficient at. And that's not going to be something you really look forward to. So having some kind of system, like I said, whether it's a Google Doc, and completely documented, whether it's like a project template, like I just showed you in my Asana, whether it's, just by documenting something, first of all, you're probably going to find some efficiencies in it. But second of all, like if you have to hand it off to somebody, it's already done. You've already thought through how it's done. You've gotten rid of anything redundant, and you've, probably explained it well enough that someone could at least take a part of that and pick it up and do it. So, and if you decide to just do this for one thing in your business that you do consistently for marketing, so maybe it's, okay, getting my Facebook updates ready, or maybe it's, like I said, the email template. Maybe it's, okay, when we list I'm a real estate person, when I sell a new property, like what are the things that should happen marketing wise after I sell a new property, and making that list. If you just tackle one of those things, I think you're going to feel pretty good. So let's go through these 5 again. And I should have numbered them. I don't know why I didn't, but they're numbered in my notes for whatever reason, but the numbers didn't translate over here. So potential number 1, create one recurring revenue product and tell people about it. Because if you think about it, if you create a recurring revenue product, so in my case, when I had to close Anchor Space in March because of this whole, pandemic thing, we switched to virtual memberships, and it was a bit of a slog for a while, but now we have like 20 people, which is like really fun, and yeah, 20 people at $19 a month, it's not going to change my whole life, but did it help during the pandemic? Absolutely. Financially and sort of emotionally too. Like, okay, people are still interested in buying something from me, that's really important. So think about something that you could offer, ideally at a lowish or lower price point, as a recurring revenue. Even if it's, so one of my other clients does tarot readings and Reiki. And so what she did is she made a membership so that people would get a set appointment. They could set an appointment every month, but at like a discounted rate, and they get access to some other stuff too with her. So that makes sense, because they're almost like kind of like in the sort of buying club, if that makes sense. So they're getting kind of preferred pricing for being like a member, and they're getting a consistent appointment from her every month. She's able to save that time for them. It's just kind of a win all around. Potential goal number 2 is make one thing purchasable online. The default thing for most people is gift certificate, but it could be some kind of order form. It could, that where people can bulk order something. It could be, I don't know. It can be anything really. Just some discrete thing that's, easy to ship or easy to fulfill, that you have, multiple ones of. Again, gift certificate seems like the logical one, but like maybe there's other ones too that you're thinking of when you think about your business. Make that purchasable online. You don't have to change your entire website software. That Mexican restaurant I was telling you about, they have an old school HTML site. They're not ready to change it yet, but we were able to kind of build that form, and it's online for them for like, I don't know, after we built it, it's going to be $20 a month for them or something to keep that online. So you don't have to change your whole life to make something purchasable online. You can do a standalone form and just connect it to your existing website. Potential third goal, look at the lowest traffic, look at something that could be driving more traffic to your website and change it. That could be improving your website generally. If you look at my big, beautiful website video from a few weeks ago, I'll talk about how large websites not only it slows things down for people visiting your website, but also it dings you in search engines if your site loads slow. So that might be something you want to improve. It could be that you want to improve your search engine traffic generally. It could be that you want to get more traffic from Facebook or Instagram. There are people who write articles about how to do this. I have 1,500 blog posts on my website. So I might have written about it on my website, but even if I haven't, there's lots of other people who have. There's people who do how-to videos. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can DIY without being too technical. So don't let that intimidate you. And the parts that you can't do, just ask someone someone like me can like look at it, and I'll give you a quote, and I'll be like, oh, it's just a couple of hours. And you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. It might not be as bad as you think. Potential goal number 4 is to make yourself able to be consistent with a marketing task that's important to you. Set your life up for it. Whether it's, like I said, whether it's eliminating distractions, whether it's paying someone else to do a part of it that you really don't like maybe you dread it because you hate sourcing photos. okay, well, maybe you could work with a local photographer and they will provide you photos and you can provide them tacos in exchange, whatever, or money. Money is also good. So like find the thing that you're not consistent at and find a way to make yourself consistent at it. And that's kind of more of a behavioral thing. And then the fifth one is to make a system for something that you're already doing marketing wise, that you do consistently so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You're going to save your staff time. You're going to save yourself time. You're probably going to find things you do that you don't have to do, that you can get rid of. You're probably going to understand that, oh, maybe I'm doing this thing, but I could do it differently. So in documenting it, at least for me, I always find stuff that I could be doing better than when I'm just winging it. And when I write it down, I'm able to use that knowledge for future purposes. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I got for today. So let me know what you decide to do in terms of your marketing goal for your business. Like I said, I don't think you need to set infinite goals or anything, but I think if you just pick one of those things and do it, you're going to make more money, or you're going to save yourself time that'll allow you to make more money. And you're going to kind of make those incremental improvements. I think it's like that. I didn't save it. I thought I saved it. There's this atomic habits thing where like, if you make like a 1% improvement, like you see, a 1%. Yeah. I'll get the picture for next time, but just look up atomic habits, 1% better or something like that graph. And you'll see that even if you make an incremental improvement, it shows really big changes in the future. It's almost like compound interest, but for productivity. It's a really interesting idea. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. 1% better doesn't feel like a lot, but when you add it up over the course of a year, you've really moved the needle. So yeah. So I don't know if I'll get to see you before 2021. I'm guessing not, because I'm in a remote location hanging out with 3 other people. That's it. So I'm just going to take the time to say Happy New Year. Cheers to spending part of it with me. I appreciate these virtual hangout sessions. And yeah, and something that you'll notice, you may wonder, and I've had people ask me this, so I'll just say it, why is this at 9:15 every Tuesday? Well, I have a 7 a.m. meeting and then I have an 8 a.m. meeting. So since I'm already at my computer and already sort of camera ready, not saying I'm feeling camera ready necessarily today, but since I'm in that mode, it's just as easy to record it at that time as it is any other time. So I had consistently been wanting to make videos for a while, but, I had to, for myself, give myself the consistency to do it. So what I did is I gave myself this time that I knew I was camera ready. The 8 o'clock meeting usually ends by 8:30. So I have a little bit of time to prep beforehand and like think about things and kind of get into the mindset to record this video. And it just works for me. And if it doesn't work for you, you can watch it on the replay. That's kind of what I figure. So yeah, that was one of the things I sort of did for myself this year, was say, okay, why am I not doing live videos? Besides the fact that I hate watching myself on video. Like, I don't know anybody who likes watching themselves on video. We all think we look terrible and whatever. But the real reason was that I was not in that. I had to find a time that made sense for me to be able to do it consistently. And this time makes the most sense to me. So anyway, I hope you have a lovely New Year, whatever you're doing. I'm probably going to go to bed at 8 p.m. with a book, which is totally fine with me. And I look forward to spending more time with you in 2021, when hopefully the world is going to get better. And yeah, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and Happy New Year. And